Bro, this isn't even a joke, okay? But before we get into what the State Birth Encouragement Office does, and they do a lot, let me first explain. By the late 1970s, China's population was rapidly approaching the 1 billion mark. And the Chinese leadership and Deng Xiaoping got really worried. So on September 25, 1980, they published a letter where all Chinese Communist Party members were instructed to stop making babies. This one child per couple limit wasn't really a single uniform law, but a complex framework comprising constitutional mandates, national laws, and highly localized provincial regulations. They went to some pretty drastic measures to implement these policies, so please skip to this part of the video if you don't want to hear of some of the violence that was carried out. Enforcement included regular physical examinations, revoking access to subsidized housing and food, the barring of promotions, and forced abortions when unauthorized pregnancies were detected. In 1983 alone, there were 14.4 million abortions and 20.7 million sterilizations conducted. It's easy to judge, but the local authorities were held strictly accountable for meeting birth quotas, failure of which could result in career-ending demotions or loss of bonuses. And these extreme measures were extremely effective. You see, in 2000, China's total fertility rate was 1.6, down from 6.0 in 1949. In 2016, they had 17.8 million births and just 7.9 million in 2025, which was actually a 17% decline from the previous year. And they are trying to fix it, okay? In May 2021, the government announced a 3-child policy. They then introduced tax deductions, extended maternity leave, and housing subsidies, while slapping a 13% tax rate on condoms and making phone calls to women of childbearing age asking about their menstrual cycles and baby making plans. You know? Bazaar, my guys. Now you might be thinking, okay, it's not that deep, you know? What is this all about? Well, if you're a young, fine brother, okay, ready to sweep a nice lady off her feet, imagine you lived in a country where there were 33.6 million more men than women. 33, my guy. As a dating pool, like a dating swamp. You've also got the fact that the large, young, and cheap workforce that fueled China's economic growth in the late 20th century is not so young and not so large anymore. And finally, the one-child policy fundamentally altered the structure of the Chinese family. Decades of this policy mean that the current generation of adults have been socially conditioned to favor single-child households. Marriages in China also plunged by a fifth in 2024, and in that same year, 2.6 million couples filed for divorce, up 1.1% from the previous year. This isn't about popping out babies, but rather about building families, which is effectively a national project because a family is the smallest unit of a society. It's only the family that has all the institutional conditions necessary for the upbringing of a well-rounded human being. And by family, I mean mom, dad, kids, male and female, he made them. Bet. Studies consistently show that children raised in married two-parent households have higher academic achievement, fewer behavioral issues, and stronger emotional well-being. With parents within a marriage serving as primary role models, they instill important values like responsibility, respect, and compassion, values that are foundational to cohesive societies. This collapse in birth rates, despite a decade of increasingly aggressive policy shift, highlights that at least for a generation, something is very wrong. The policymakers of the time didn't know what they were setting themselves up for, and by touching the children of China, they disrupted its stability and future. This is why families are so critical, because the nation goes where the families go, And if there are no families, then there can be no nation.